Prime Minister, is the end date for the operation in Afghanistan, Western forces, still August the 31st? Have you secured any more time for the evacuation efforts in Kabul?
I think, Sam, first of all, you've got to understand quite how much has been achieved already since the 14th of August. This is an extraordinary airlift. We've evacuated 9,000. The UK alone has taken 9,000 people out of Kabul. I think 57 flights. Huge effort by our military, and we will go on right up until the last moment that we can. But you've heard what the President of the United States has had to say. You've heard what the Taliban have said, and I think you've got to understand the context in which we're doing this. We're confident we can get thousands more out, but the situation at the airport is not getting any better. There are public order issues. There are harrowing scenes for those who are trying to get out, and it's tough for our military as well. And so what we've done today at the G7 is we've got together the leading Western powers and agreed not just a joint approach to dealing with the evacuation, but also a roadmap for the way in which we're going to engage with the Taliban, as it probably will be a Taliban government in Kabul. And the number one condition we're setting as G7 is that they've got to guarantee right the way through August the 31st and beyond safe passage for those who want to come out. Now, someone will say that they don't accept that, and some of them, I hope, will see the sense of that, because the G7 has very considerable leverage, economic, diplomatic, and political.
So you failed. Did you or any other G7 leader make clear your frustration to President Biden about how the events there unfolded up to last week and his refusal to extend the August 31st deadline, which is something that you wanted?
Let's be clear, the immediate phase of the evacuation is actually being a very considerable success by the military. And I think most people, looking at the numbers that we have got out, would say it was quite remarkable that since the 14th of August, we've got 9,000 people coming to this country, hoping to make new lives. And obviously we're having to check them, to vet them. There are all sorts of processes that we have to go through, but 9,000 is a very considerable number. That's UK nationals plus who have been in Afghanistan, but it's also those who have helped us during the last 2 decades, and it's the UK showing its commitment, showing its responsibility to those people, and I think we can be very proud of what we're achieving.
So you present a pretty rosy world in which the West can engage with Taliban 2.0. What on earth leverage does the West, does the G7, does Britain have over a Taliban-led government? What makes you think that they're going to want to engage and listen to our demands for things like safe passage out of Afghanistan?
I'm totally realistic about the Taliban, and I don't think that anybody is going to pretend that this is anything other than a very difficult situation. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore the leverage that we have. We want to help with the humanitarian crisis, the difficulties that people in Afghanistan, people fleeing Afghanistan, are going to experience. But when it comes to engaging with the Taliban and engaging with the government in Afghanistan, whatever its exact composition, the G7 has huge leverage. And today, the G7 agreed, we brought them together, and they agreed a roadmap for future engagement with the Taliban. So that, if those huge funds are going to be unfrozen eventually for use by the government and people of Afghanistan, then what we're saying is Afghanistan can't lurch back into becoming a breeding ground of terror. Afghanistan can't become a narco state. Girls have got to be educated up to the age of 18 and so on. And those are important things that we value as G7. Those are things that unite us in the West. Those are things, by the way, for which we fought for years in Afghanistan, and for which people in this country gave their lives. And the point that was made today by G7 leaders is that we remain committed to those values and we remain committed to Afghanistan. But the number one condition that we're insisting upon is safe passage beyond the 31st, so beyond this initial phase, for those who want to leave Afghanistan.
Finally, Prime Minister, in the event that al-qaeda and IS expand in Afghanistan, is there any possibility that G7 troops return to that country?
I think you've got to recognise that the history of Afghanistan is cyclical, sadly, and you'll have seen over different epochs, different expeditionary forces sent in by different powers with a view to trying to stabilise the country. Our own country has had centuries of experience in Afghanistan. But what I hope is that there is now a different path forward and a better future. And, I don't think anybody is going to believe that this is going to be easy or that this is likely in the short term. But there's got to be a world in which the people of Afghanistan find the leadership, find the wisdom to come together, to make accommodations with each other, for the Pashtun to sit down with the Tajiks and the Uzbeks and the Turkmens and all the factions to get together, finally, to agree on a way forward for that country. And I think possibly what the point that Joe Biden has been trying to make is it is very difficult for Western powers to try to impose that sort of order on a country if a country is unwilling to do it itself. And I think what we all want to see now is the UN helping to lead a political process that will try to bring Afghanistan forward, take it to a different future, without Afghanistan feeling it has to subcontract or outsource its government to foreign powers or to expeditionary forces. That's got to be what we're all working for. It'll take patience and it will take time. But in the meantime, what we need to do is to use our very, very considerable influence as G7 to work on the new powers in Afghanistan to insist on safe passage and to follow the path that we think is compatible with our values and which will enable us to engage positively with them in the future.